afternoon, everyone. Thanks for spending part of your lunch hour with us today. Today's webinar is on using passkeys, something that's been popping up more and more as an option in web applications. So we're going to walk through exactly how to do that on a couple of different applications. I will let you know that July's monthly webinar will be July 17th at noon, and that is honing your cyber readiness, ideas to keep you and your staff cyber aware all year. We talk about ongoing training and awareness, which is why we do these webinars monthly. We're going to talk about some practical ideas to keep yourself and your staff up to date on good cyber readiness practices and how to keep that top of mind for everyone. Before we get rolling, I want to remind you that the Wyoming Small Business Development Center Network is here to serve all your small business needs with no-cost confidential advising throughout the state. The SBDC is funded by the U.S. Small Business Administration and the Wyoming Business Council, and is hosted by the University of Wyoming. This particular webinar is presented as a component of our ongoing Cybersecurity for Small Business pilot program, which is completely funded by the US SBA. To contact an SBDC advisor or browse the many resources on our website, including a huge library of recorded webinars, visit us online at wyomingsbdc.org. So I am Paul Johnson, the Cybersecurity Program Manager for the Wyoming SBDC Network, and am extremely happy to have our partner in our program, Laura Baker from CyberWyoming. You see their logo down there in the corner. Laura, if you want to get rolling, take it away.
Sure, thank you. Thank you, Paul. And Paul will be speaking again later too. I'll show you the agenda in just a second. A little bit about CyberWyoming. We are a nonprofit organization. We do not sell hardware, software, or technology implementation services. Our programs include education and outreach, workforce development as a registered apprenticeship office for technology professions, and economic development. We partnered with the Wyoming SBDC on the economic development side, and their SBDC counselors are now trained to do what we've done in Wyoming cybersecurity competition for small businesses for the past, well, since 2017. It's been a really fun partnership. I've loved working with the Wyoming SBDC, and it's so nice to get more cybersecurity built into everyday business processes because we're all so digitized now. Speaking of digitized, here's our agenda. What is a passkey? And then we're going to give you examples that you might have. So a QuickBooks example, a personal Gmail account example, and then Paul's going to talk about his Nintendo Lite, and then we'll have a little bit of time for questions. All of these examples are based on a real company's real screen, so you're going to see redactions throughout it because this will be published, and we want to make sure that we protected CyberWyoming and my personal email address as well as Paul's Nintendo Lite. But let's first talk about what is a passkey, because a lot of people don't know. It's kind of a new phrase. Passkeys let you log in with something you already have, which is your device. So it could be your phone, your computer, your laptop, a tablet, and then also it takes something you are, which is your fingerprint, your face, or your PIN. And these two things create an encrypted key that recognizes a different but matching encrypted key on the website that you're using. So I like to think of it, and cybersecurity experts would probably disagree, but here's how I've reconciled it in my brain, is it's almost like built-in two-factor authentication. And you don't have to use a password. So I really like that because it's convenient, because your device is recognized and your fingerprint, face, or PIN on your device is also recognized. So why is a passkey more secure than a password? Passkeys can't really be phished. Hackers often trick people into entering passwords on fake websites, but passkeys only work on the real website they were created for, and they can't be stolen through scam websites. No reuse, no weak passwords. What this means is many people reuse the same password across different sites, which creates a huge security risks. And passkeys don't have this problem because they're unique and random, and they're created by your device and not reused. They're stored securely and not transmitted. Passwords are sent over the internet and stored on servers where they can be stolen in data breaches. Passkeys stay on your device, and websites only get a harmless public key, which is nothing that can really be stolen or reused to your detriment. They're also protected by biometrics or a PIN that is unique to your your device. So even if someone steals your phone, they can't use your passkeys without your fingerprint, face, or device PIN. So it's kind of like a double lock, your device plus your identity. Okay, so that's a general about passkeys, and we'll have more questions about passkeys after I show you about QuickBooks. So first, let's talk about QuickBooks and passkeys. But before I really talk about how to use a passkey with QuickBooks, let's talk about a QuickBooks scam that was reported recently by a Wyoming company. This company received a generic QuickBooks email address that was real. And they traced it back to an out-of-country company. And it appeared that the scammers were buying QuickBooks subscriptions, setting up vendors that were actual companies in Wyoming and sending out fake invoices. So these are real invoices coming from a real QuickBooks company that had been set up. However, it was a fake invoice because you'd never really bought anything from them, but it looks like you had. So just be aware that this scam is out there. Talk to your employees about it and make sure, and it's been spotted in more than one place. So make sure that your employees know about it if they're in accounts payable especially. Okay, let's talk about how to add a passkey to your QuickBooks account. So this is the real CyberWyoming account, so you'll see a whole lot redacted. But the first thing you have to do to add a passkey to QuickBooks is sign into QuickBooks. And then basically you choose your little personalized icon at the top. Mine is an L for Laura. And you choose manage your Intuit account. Now, when you're there on the manage account, on the left-hand side, you see sign in and security. And then at the very kind of bottom of the same screen, it depends on how big your monitor is, but mine was just barely big enough to make it. There was passkeys at the bottom. Sign in across multiple devices using face, fingerprint, or PIN. So that is where you find it in QuickBooks. Then it takes you to a couple of pop-ups, add a passkey. And I liked QuickBooks quite a bit because they actually told you why you should use a passkey and where they're saved, which I also think is nice. They recommend that you save your passkey to your Apple iCloud keychain or a password manager. So I did use my password manager, and you'll see that on this next part. CyberWyoming does use a password manager, and so I chose to save it to our password manager. And you can see that this continues. Now you can add more than one passkey, which is also kind of nice. Now I logged back out of completely out of QuickBooks, and I logged back in to see what the sign-in looks like with a passkey. And so this is the standard sign-in that you get when you sign into QuickBooks. And I put on this extra CAPTCHA on my QuickBooks. You may not have it, but I have the I'm not a robot CAPTCHA. It used to take me about 5 different steps to sign into QuickBooks before passkeys. So I'm actually kind of a raving fan of this. So now I still have the CAPTCHA, and then it says, how do you want to verify your identity? So you could still enter your password or get a text or a call or an email. I used to enter my password, then I would get a text, and then there was one other step, I don't remember what it was. So it was quite hard to get into our QuickBooks account. But now here's what happens. My password manager pops up with the passkey. I click on the passkey up here in my password manager. It fills it in, and I am in. And so it really has become a lot more convenient for me since it is more security oriented. And I really, really like that. And it works a little bit differently with the Gmail, and you'll see that in just a minute. But we're going to talk about a couple of things about passkeys, like what happens if you get a new phone or computer, since it is tied to your device. Well, if you're using a password manager, then the passkey is actually stored in your password manager. It will still connect to your device, but you'll have to if you're on your phone or something, you'll have to make sure that your new phone has your password manager app installed. But if you don't use a password manager, you would need to reset your passkey with your password or other recovery option. I know a lot of us, when we're finished with our phones, maybe we want to get a new one, we give our old phone to our kid, or maybe we donate it to a nonprofit organization. If your passkeys are on your phone, make sure you factory reset it. So just don't forget that important step if you're donating your phone. What if someone breaks into the QuickBooks website, for instance, and steals your passkey? It really wouldn't matter if they got your passkey. The hacker would have to hack QuickBooks and your exact device at the same time. Also, if a hacker tried to create a fake QuickBooks login page, the passkey wouldn't match up. And so you couldn't log in, but you would have never entered your password on QuickBooks, so they never got your password either. So I really do like passkeys for that reason. Can passkeys sync across devices? When they first came out, they couldn't, but now they can through password managers and Apple iCloud's keychain. So there are definitely some good options here with passkeys today. And it's become more adopted. You see it on Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Adobe, and there's a whole lot more applications. You'll start to see it everywhere. So we've finished what is a passkey and the QuickBooks example. The next one I'd like to show you is my personal Gmail account, and I have a lot of redactions there as well, because I know a lot of us have personal Gmail accounts, and passkeys aren't just for business, they're for personal security as well. I was setting up my personal Gmail account on my computer. So these are all screens from the computer, it's not from my phone. I'm sure you could set it up on your phone, it's just harder to take screen prints from your phone and get them to your computer for a PowerPoint. So I have my Gmail address here, and Google explains a little bit about your passkeys. They say it's going to ask you for your Windows PIN or a biometric. Well, I didn't really have my Windows Hello set on my computer, so I went with my Windows PIN. And so it asks you just a little bit more about passkeys, and you continue. And you can say always for this site or just once. I actually did choose always for this site, but I took the screen print before that. So now it says we're going to save the passkey in our password manager, and I do have a separate password manager for personal versus business. I highly recommend that. Even though it's the same brand, it's a different subscription. And then the next screen, they make sure it's me, and they make sure it's me by I have to put in my Windows PIN. Now, if you use Windows Hello to sign in with your face, you can actually, or a fingerprint instead, you can actually use your face or fingerprint. It's probably a little more secure than a PIN, especially if you use a 4-digit PIN. I have been told that with 4-digit PINs, a 7th grader can hack them in about 20 minutes. So definitely try to go for the 6-digit PIN on your phone, or even longer if possible. And then continuing on, they just are continuing to confirm. It takes a few minutes to confirm, and then I logged out, and I'm choosing my personal account again to get into my Gmail. They're making sure it's me, so I put in my PIN and my Windows Hello PIN, and then I'm signed in, and it's that easy. So it's a lot easier than finding your phone and you know, if you're on your computer and you need to find your phone and you lost it in the living room and you're in the study and you're trying to find your phone for the 2-factor authentication to get into your personal Gmail account, passkeys, because you're on the device already that it is confirming with, are a little bit less hassle. Okay, so the next example is for Paul. So I'm going to have Paul come on and talk about his Nintendo Lite, because we went from business to personal to really personal.
Yeah. So I recently got a Nintendo Switch Lite handheld video gaming system, and they have gone to a passkey system for payment with that. So we thought we'd just talk about this a little bit because it's more device specific than these web applications that we've been talking about, or Windows applications. And in fact, the passkey now easily allows you to purchase from the Nintendo store without having to log in every time. So it was a multi-device sort of situation between my phone, my Switch device, and my Gmail account. It started with a QR code, and then there was a verification code that came through my email that then I put in on the phone on the website. So my 3 devices are all kind of tied together now, and I feel much more confident making PayPal purchases of online games that passkey is set up rather than, you know, inputting a password every time or something. It's just kind of, everything sort of did this magical handshake, and I don't pretend to understand completely how it works, but it definitely feels more secure than logging into an account whenever you need something. So I'm sure there will be other devices that use passkeys, like maybe those smart refrigerators and other smart appliances. So it may be a similar process to that if you are given the option to create a passkey for one of those devices, where your phone's going to probably be involved, your email account is going to be involved, and that device will be involved. So everything kind of triangulates and talks to one another in a secure manner. So didn't have any screenshots for that. It was just would have been kind of hard to capture that process, and we just kind of thought about it after the fact. But I think interesting thinking about devices other than applications using passkeys, and that is probably something that's going to become much more common. Laura,
I like that it's magical, because I do think it feels a little bit magical, doesn't it? After security experts saying, oh no, you have to have a token or a cell phone or, you know, something to log in with this. Now you click one thing and it's done.
Yeah.
Well, and some general ledger systems may not have passkeys yet, and that might be, you know, let's say you've decided you're going to go to a new general ledger system, and you've been on Excel for a while, and you've grown enough, and now you're ready to go big or go home. Evaluating whether or not that system has a passkey option for entry may be something that you decide is a factor for you when you're deciding on what platform you want to go to.
Laura and I have just been talking about this notion of passkeys lately and how it's popping up more and more, and we just wanted to provide a little information and kind of promote using passkeys where you can, because of the heightened security involved with them. So, anything else to add, Laura?
No, I was pleasantly surprised. I was a little bit nervous. I mean, I think a lot of us are nervous with new methods for signing on, and I was a little bit nervous when I was playing with my QuickBooks. Am I going to lock myself out? Yeah. Am I going to lock myself out of my Gmail? Because, you know, that's always the concern, right? Mm-hmm. And I didn't have any troubles at all implementing it. So I hope that the rest of us, you know, if you're on this call because you wanted to see how this would work, I hope that you feel the same way. If you want to get more information about passkeys, the FIDOalliance.org is the place to go. And they've been pushing it forever. They just started calling these passkeys about a year ago. Before that, they called it something that I think was like 4 different words, and it didn't catch on. And so now they finally realized you have to call it a passkey. And I want to show you the icon. The passkey icon is this right here with the person and the key next to it. And that's going to become more and more prevalent as you see it. So if you see Amazon and there's this little icon next to it, that means that you have a passkey option. And so definitely just this, pay attention to what this is, because we're going to see a whole lot more of it.
Great. All right, well, once again, thank you all for sharing part of your lunch hour with us. So with that, have a great afternoon, everyone. Thanks again, Laura. Appreciate your assistance.
Thank you. It's fun talking to you as always.
Yeah, bye.